Hello and welcome back to Keeping BZ. I am Zach, joined by Brandon, and tonight we're doing Fullmetal Alchemist 2, Curse of the Crimson Elixir. Why the second PS2 game and not the first? I have slightly more experience with the second one. Brandon has experience with both of them, but I've only experienced like the first hour or so of the second one. So this is the one we're doing.
And it also works better because Curse of the Crimson Elixir is more... It goes through, like, episodes of the show for its story instead of the first game, which is an original story. And with what we're going to be talking about tonight, it makes more sense to me to do two.
Yeah, Brayden and I... This is going to sound crazy for anime fans, but only recently have Brayden and I finished Brotherhood for the first time. We both saw the original Fullmetal Alchemist many years back. I rewatched Fullmetal Alchemist 2003, the original series, and then right after watching the movie, my brother and I started Brotherhood.
I saw the original Fullmetal Alchemist in high school. It was one of those cases where I caught random episodes of it on Adult Swim when it was airing there, and it looked really interesting. So as a gift, I think it was a birthday present, I got the full set of like the first season of the show. So I watched through it. I absolutely loved it. And I'm not somebody that likes anime at all. Like back then, I was not really someone that would ever get into anything involving Japanese animation. I just had a weird aversion to it. But Fullmetal Alchemist was one of the big things that got me into finally enjoying the format of anime and shonen specifically. So then I got the second season, finished the show, loved it. And then when I heard they were making a second show that was going to be more accurate to the manga, I was like, oh boy, that sounds fun. So I started Brotherhood, and Brotherhood very quickly spent its first season cutting down some of the most memorable and powerful arcs of the original show into ribbons. And while I understand that in some cases those interpretations were ultimately more accurate to the pacing and feel of the manga, it took out all the weight that made the original show deeply memorable to me. And I couldn't get myself to go past the point where Brotherhood gets into all like the new stuff that the original show didn't adapt. But now, finally in 2025, more than a decade later, I've gone back and finally watched all of Brotherhood for the first time. And yeah, I really like it as well. There's definitely things I like better about the original show. It's kind of a back and forth. It's kind of hard to say which one I necessarily like better, but they are both really well done animes with just a great world. Basically the logic of how the character's powers works has the types of weaknesses and limits that you would want. And just like the hook of the show just immediately gets you from the beginning, and you really want to see how it's going to turn out, because of it being a show where sacrifice is all part of the theming. So yeah, eventually I did also play both of the PlayStation 2 games, Fullmetal Alchemist and the Broken Angel, and Fullmetal Alchemist and the Curse of the Crimson Elixir. I really like the story of Broken Angel. It was actually written by the original creator of Fullmetal Alchemist. Curse of the Crimson Elixir's kind of doing a fan servicey slideshow of some of the most memorable arcs of the original 2003 series, as well as telling a bit of its own story. The way I'd sum it up is 1 has the better story, 2 has the far more polished gameplay. 1 feels kind of clunky by comparison after you play the second game.
Yeah, I will admit, after watching 2 series of Fullmetal Alchemist in a row, I am a little Fullmetal Alchemist out. And I do want to beat Curse of the Crimson Elixir. Just, I might take a small break from Fullmetal Alchemist for a while. But yeah, I at least wanted to do this for the BZ, because hey, I wanted to talk about Fullmetal Alchemist. Makes the most sense to play a Fullmetal Alchemist game. Yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist is such an enigma because it has 2 branching anime that are both amazing. Like, I would put both of them in my top 5 anime. Easily. Now, are either of them, like, my top 1 anime? I honestly don't even know what I would name my top 1 anime. But I know both Fullmetal Alchemist and Brotherhood are both in my top 5. Probably even top... Would both be in top 3? Honestly, probably. And I hear a lot of people say that Brotherhood is clearly the better one, but I'm just like, I don't think there is a clear better one in my perspective. I think both do a good job of what they were aiming to do. I think the original is a lot more personal. It's a lot more focused on the Elric brothers themselves. Their personal journey of going through these experiences, going through the world of Amestris, I think it's called. I don't even know if it's actually named in the original. The original is very hyper-focused on Ed and Al's journey for the most part. It doesn't really go into the world and doesn't go as much into alchemy as Brotherhood does. Oh, by the way, it should be pretty obvious. Spoilers for both the original Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm sure most people have seen Brotherhood. It is one of the most critically acclaimed anime of all time. But if you have not seen the original, please watch it. It is amazing. It's not as... It still has a lot of action, but it's not as action-packed. It's not as hype as Brotherhood. It doesn't have, like, some of the cool moments, but the emotional impact of things in the original, I think... Like, some of those moments made me tear up, man. Oh, Nina. I knew Nina was coming, and that shit still hurt in the original.
Yeah, it's a powerful experience. I mean, you know, both shows get the story, you know, in a way that works, but it's an understatement to say that the original show is the far better adaptation of that story, even though Brotherhood is ultimately the more accurate telling of how the manga tells the Nina arc. But it's so disappointing because they have to speed things up to get to all the new stuff because the pacing of Brotherhood is so fast that Ed and Al stay with Shao Tucker for, like, I don't know, they see him like twice while they're in town, and then the third time they come back, Nina and the dog have been combined. Whereas in the original show, it takes place while Ed is preparing for his big, like, alchemy test to get his statesman medallion that he already has in Brotherhood. So in the original show, he stays there living with Shao Tucker and Nina for a month as he begins to train, and he becomes very close to those two. And while it is, it's summed up in 2 episodes, it's a far better time to build to the impact than the measly 1 episode that Brotherhood gives to one of the most memorable and important arcs in the entire show, which is so interesting when the ending of Brotherhood has Ed and Al talking about how, they're going to try to do things to prevent something like Nina and what happened to her from ever happening again, where I feel like some Brotherhood people would probably be like, oh yeah, that was that thing that happened a million episodes ago that was, like, very quickly summed up, whereas in the original show, it's carefully built up, and when Nina does her big reveal of, in her chimera form of saying Big Brother, it means something in the original show because he's been living with them for a full month, not like a couple times, and then all of a sudden Nina just decides to call him a brother to her.
The Temple of the Sun God. Well, no use sitting around with that information.
Yeah, part 1 of Brotherhood. I honestly... So, before we watched the original, my brother and I, we were going to watch Brotherhood, because I had never seen it before. But we watched the first episode, and my brother was looking at it and going, am I supposed to know what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, Alec, I've seen the original show, and I only know half of what's fucking going on. And then we saw the second episode. The second episode is pretty good.
Oops.
And then we saw the Leora episode, and we were both kind of disappointed by it. So I just asked him if he wanted to check out the original. So we ended up watching the entirety of the original, and then we gave Brotherhood another shot. And when we got through part 1, once it starts getting into part 2 and beyond is amazing. Part 1, especially if you've seen the original, is pretty disappointing. Like, the death of May Hughes also doesn't hit nearly as hard as it does in the original. But then it's weird because they go a bit more into his wife's and daughter's despair with his death that the original doesn't really touch into that much. Like, I love that scene in Brotherhood where after Edward and Winry visit the Hugh's wife, I forget her name, Grazia? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And he can hear her crying through the door, and Alicia is asking, when is Daddy coming home? And she's just sobbing. I'm like, dude, that moment hit so hard. But it would hit a lot harder if we ever actually saw them living with Maze the entire time.
Oh, it's nothing like that.
That's what makes Brotherhood so weird, is that in order for me to have a bigger emotional reaction to some things in Brotherhood, I have to be like, okay, let me remember something from the original and tie it into Brotherhood.
Or anything, but we're pretty well known.
Yeah, because once again, the pacing is slower in the original show, so you actually spend far more time with Hughes, which once again makes his death more impactful.
Oh, the Elric brothers. Oh, I've heard of you guys before.
That's kind of like the modus operandi of why I prefer a lot of the arcs, especially early arcs of the original show, because there's always so much more detail and development put into the characters in those arcs, whereas Brotherhood has to cover the entire manga, so it's quickly trying to get all this stuff out of the way because it has so much more it has to tell before it can finally close off. It's really jarring too when you get to the later half of Brotherhood, and it kind of slows down a bit because now it can take its time, because now it's in all the new stuff where it needs to, allow this stuff to breathe for it to work better. Because especially when you get into part 4 and part 5 in the last couple of episodes, it's just like one long extended series of action sequences that it's cutting back between until they finally close off. And it's no longer just exposition and story like it's been for, good chunks of the show. Whereas in the original show, it was always like this kind of meditative kind of, I wouldn't still call the pacing of the original Fullmetal Alchemist all that slow. It's more just that it has a feeling of build up and then payoff, build up and then payoff. And Brotherhood does too as it goes along. I just feel like it feels more effective in the original show when it gives itself more time to develop. And that's because it's only adapting the first quarter to half or so of the manga before it goes off and does its own thing. So it doesn't have that much to adapt, so it has the luxury of being able to slow itself down and take more time to make things work. And Brotherhood just has to get on with it. And it still does a lot of that stuff well, but especially in the first season, I found it just remarkably jarring for a person that loves the original show. I still like Brotherhood a lot. I think it gets so much right, and so much of the new stuff that it brings in from the manga is great. So many of the new characters, whether it's General Armstrong's sister, or it's the new people that come over from the country to the east that are all great. All the new characters in Brotherhood are so cool, and they do cool things with them. And the action, and here's the other thing that's a double-edged sword with Brotherhood. It has better animation than the original show because it focuses on going for a more simplistic style, so that way, not like overly simplistic, but a more simple style than the original show, so that way when the action sequences happen, or even some of the emotional moments, the animation is far smoother because they have the luxury of being able to do more frames. But in the original show, because the animation is more detailed, the horror of Fullmetal Alchemist, the body horror, works way better because there's so much more detail put into it. When Father Cornello tries to over-push his fake philosopher's stone, and it rebounds on him and combines his arm with a gun. It's horrifying in the original show because of the detailed style and animation. In Brotherhood, it kind of just looks like a cartoon, and it's not very effective by comparison. But if I'm real, Lorelei in general is remarkably better in the original show than it is in Brotherhood, and that's partially because it uses Lorelei as the opener in the original show. It uses that as our entry point into Ed and Al. It's not about like, oh, here's their origin story, here's who they are. They kind of just throw you out into the desert with these two mysterious people that we don't know almost anything about yet, besides that they were young kids that did some sort of experiment. And we're just thrown into them investigating a mystery where we don't know what's going on in the town. We don't quite know them yet. And we learn about them through solving the mystery, because the mystery touches on religion. It touches on belief. It touches on so many things that are important to Ed and Al's philosophy that they kind of have to expose about who they are because of the nature of the story, so it feels natural and beautiful in the original show. When Ed pulls out his notebook, reading off the materials used to create a human body, to explain to Rose how alchemy works and how her priest isn't using any sort of divine intervention, he's using alchemy, it feels so natural and perfect in the original show. In Brotherhood, when that scene happens, it just feels like it's there because it's part of this particular arc, and not because it's really helping you to understand or explain anything. It feels like it's there because it's a part of this story, and not that it really has any impact anymore because Ed's explaining things you already learned in earlier episodes.
I'd say your god's got some aggressive tendencies, but if it's a fight you want, I'm happy to oblige.
What? Wait, Ed.
Yeah, the bizarre thing about Brotherhood is that because it has to speed through so much of Part 1, it makes the moments where they bring back things from Part 1 and they act all emotional about it. I'm just like, what, that thing you spent like 10 minutes on?
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, no, when the people from Shink come in, I feel like that's where I started really getting invested. Because I was like, yeah, they never went into anything more about the world outside of Amestria and Ish... I don't know if it's supposed to be Ishval or Ishbal. Because I feel like both anime... I feel like one does with a B and the other does it with a V. And I don't know which one's supposed to be right.
Yeah, Zach, when you and I were talking about the show as we were watching it, when I was kind of behind you and we were discussing things, you kept saying Ishbal, and I was confused because I wasn't actually watching the dub with Brotherhood. I was watching the sub, and in the sub, they call it Ishval.
Yeah, I think it's Ishbal in Brotherhood as well, but I swear in the original it's with a V. Or maybe I'm gaslighting myself.
Well, no, I'm saying that in the subbed version in Brotherhood, it is with a V. In that version, it is it is Ishval in the subbed version of Brotherhood anyway. Maybe they changed that for some sort of localization reason in English and called it Ishbal. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like, the original really, really focuses on Ishval and the horrible war crimes committed.
Yep. And they still show a lot of gruesome imagery in Brotherhood as well when they bring up that arc, but yeah.
Jeez, what do they teach these guys at church anyway? Let's head for the temple.
Yeah, it's unfortunate watching Fullmetal Alchemist in 2025 and realizing so many of the events it depicts, the things that it's referencing, and the themes of what its message is trying to say have unfortunately aged quite well because of the nature of our world and the horrible things being done to people in other countries by us.
Yeah. I did think about that while watching the original.
I mean, you know, you can see, especially in Brotherhood, Zach, why, if they ended it with somebody getting sent to actual Nazi Germany, why that would be kind of unnecessary because of the build-up in Brotherhood and how, you know, the leader of their country is called the Fuhrer.
Yeah, I mean, Bradley's still the Fuhrer King in the original as well. But, yeah. But yeah, that is, if you've, but apparently there are some people who have seen the original who have never seen the movie. If you've not seen the movie, I do recommend it. It is a bit more of a better ending, but at the same time, I don't feel like you missed a whole lot not seeing the movie.
Sure.
But you do get a bit more closure if you've seen the movie. Yes, there is a movie, Conquer of Shambhala. It's really fucking wild. It is an insane movie.
It's an insane movie. I mean, part of what you're going to get out of watching that, besides the slightly better ending, is the fact that it has movie quality animation and action sequences. Yeah, I guess we haven't talked much about these games themselves, but basically, the Fullmetal Alchemist PS2 games are Kingdom Hearts. Like Kingdom Hearts that is simplified in some ways, but has sort of its own mechanics, where instead of having like a magic meter, instead you have alchemy, which means that most items in an environment you can walk up to and then turn them into weapons or other items you can use to protect yourself or otherwise. And so Al basically is your AI partner like Donald and Goofy, but he has you can do a little bit more to give him orders, and you can also give him weapons to help fight alongside you. And I actually like this system as a way of applying the show's like equivalent exchange logic into the game mechanics, because there's no necessarily like magic bar limit to the alchemy. You just have to walk up and use it. It's just that, at least how the original game worked, is that you would have to kind of charge it up if you wanted to use it for a more powerful alchemy transformation.
Honestly, the alchemy weapons you can use in this remind me of Under the Skin a little bit.
I can see that, though I don't think most people would know what Under the Skin is, Zach, even though we played it.
Well, we played it. Go watch it. If you don't know what Under the Skin is, I played it. Go watch our other videos. Be consumed by YouTube. Do not stop consuming content. Stop touching grass. Stay inside. It's hot outside.
Yes.
Look, don't fall back. Call for more reinforcements.
Come on already. I'll give you guys
There's
points
also
for
a
tenacity,
Fullmetal
but
Alchemist
your fighting
DS
skills
game
suck.
called Dual Sympathy. Get the abbreviation there. And I've only played a little bit of it, but once again, Zach, it pretty much just tries to follow a lot of the main arcs of the 2003 show. But instead of looking like this, of course, it's more like a 2D sprite-based beat 'em up where the screen scrolls.
How could you all gang up on them? You've turned into a mob.
Watch out, miss. You shouldn't get so
Yeah,
close.
I was so close to trolling Brandon and playing the Fullmetal Alchemist card game on DS, but I was like, hey, you know what? I'll do a solo video about that, because I think the Fullmetal Alchemist trading card game is very fascinating. It's from what I heard, I don't know if this is true, but from what I understand, it has 9 sets, and through those 9 sets, it covers the entire original anime. And I think that's absurd for an anime card game. They usually never last long enough to even cover half of the anime. They usually die so quickly. So the FMA TCG covering the entire anime is pretty neat. And I kind of want to get some Fullmetal Alchemist trading cards one day. The game itself looks alright. It has a lot of interesting mechanics.
All they were giving out were free trips to the hospital.
They were obviously worshippers.
Oh, so yeah, I think we're 25 minutes in. I think there's only been 5 minutes of gameplay so far.
They did ask if you were a stay.
Yeah, there's a lot of cutscenes in these games. It was the same when I was playing Broken Angel a week or so ago, is that it was primarily just cutscenes, and then occasionally you would finally enter into a little bit of gameplay. It does open up more, obviously, as you get deeper in. The only disadvantage with Broken Angel is that these kind of text-based cutscenes have no voice acting, and the voice acting is instead reserved for the fully animated anime cutscenes, which look great in Broken Angel. You can tell they're made by the same animation studio that did this show.
Yeah, from the way they were
Yeah,
talking,
Studio
that's what it
Bones,
sounded
I
like.
believe. Yeah, Studio Bones did both 03 and Brotherhood.
Please stop with
I'm
this
trying to remember what
nonsense.
else Bones did, because I'm pretty sure I've liked another anime from them. I want to say they did Soul Eater, but that might have been someone else.
Unlearned of God's ways. Violence is not in Leto's teachings.
You might as well preach to a brick wall. We're not believers.
In that case, why don't you come to our gathering? It's at the temple up ahead.
Yes, Zach, they did Soul Eater. They also did Mob Psycho 100, which I've also been recommended by a lot of friends.
Oh, I was going to check that out one day, and then I got distracted. I should check out Mob Psycho 100.
I've heard the animation in the anime is completely insane, like how good it is. It looks all like film quality.
I've seen some clips, and it does look amazing.
Check it out.
That's wonderful. Oh, my name is Rose.
I'm Alphonse Elric, and this is my older brother.
Edward Elric.
You both have such beautiful names. Please, come this way. I'll take you to the temple.
I was actually impressed that, like, from everything I played, every cutscene is voice acted.
Oh, weird. So, like,
Wow, what a turnout.
the
So
crowd is
believers in
drawn, but I
Leto, huh?
think Cornello and his guards are 3D models in that shot. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's right. This alone is a testament to the greatness of Father Cornello.
Yeah, I mean, these didn't have particularly huge budgets,
How
but I think they
wonderful it
did
is
the
to
best with what
worship
they
God,
had.
Live every day with gratitude and hope.
I definitely could feel that Broken Angel was written by the writer of the manga, because Ed and Al's like personalities are like on point in Broken Angel's writing. They really do just sound like themselves even
They
without
were
voice
there.
acting.
She didn't mean any harm.
I do feel like,
Oh, there he is.
I wouldn't say they're 100% out of character in Curse, but there are a couple lines that make me go like, eh. But I would say it's accurate enough. I would say it's closer to Fullmetal Alchemist than, say, the SpongeBob games are to SpongeBob.
Children of God, who
Even
live
as a
on
kid,
this
I always felt
land,
like every SpongeBob game I
pray
played
faith
felt
that
like
you
it
may
was
be
written by
saved.
someone that was like it felt more like fan fiction writing for SpongeBob than any of the actual writing talent being involved. Which, I mean, they're licensed games. It's not the biggest deal.
Oh, see, this was something that the original show did to introduce Cornello that Brotherhood did not do, which is the bird that he brings back to life with the Philosopher's Stone that immediately makes Ed and Al go, whoa, what the hell? How does he just able to do that? Whereas in Brotherhood, he kind of just creates a bunch of pretty crystal flower things.
So I guess those are the miracles.
But to be fair, that's all. The original show did that because it's building up to the reveal of the mutated, like, alchemy
Well, it looks pretty
bird
obvious. He's
that
using alchemy.
he
It's just like
mutates to
said.
make Rose think that it's her boyfriend brought back to life, which is just like another aspect of the Lorelei arc of the original show that I find makes that whole arc far more interesting and memorable.
I do have one minor complaint, and I think this complaint goes for both Full Metal and this goes for both the original and Brotherhood. I think Brotherhood's a little bit worse with it, but I'm not gonna let 03 off the hook either. They keep calling Ed a dog of the state.
Well, he's
You
an
know,
amazing
he's
performer.
on their leash. The
Those aren't
pocket
miracles,
watch
he's
means he has to
smiling.
follow every order. When is there really an order he's given that he actually has to go through and actually do? When does he ever do anything that he doesn't want to do?
Yeah, that's what's bugging me.
In Brotherhood, the one thing I can think of is later on in the show where, you know, Bradley puts his foot down and bars him and Mustang from, you know, basically touching anything and using their friends as hostages. And Ed is just like, but can we still look for our bodies? And he's like, sure, fine, that doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah, but I feel like that would happen even if he wasn't part of the military. If he was just some random kid on a journey for the Philosopher's Stone, that could still happen where the military would just kidnap his friends and tell him, hey, don't mess with our plans or we'll murder everybody.
I'm really interested in this religion
Right.
now.
03 does a little bit more with it. There's the moment after they capture Shao Tucker, they collect all of his chimeras, and they tell Ed to sort them and then continue his chimera research. And Ed doesn't want to. And I think it's Mustang, or maybe it's someone else, that goes, You're a state alchemist. You work for the state. We tell you to do this thing. You're going to do this thing.
Right.
But then I think he talks about the Philosopher's Stone, and Bradley is like, I would rather you do your own thing, because in the original, homunculi are actually trying to trick people into creating a Philosopher's Stone, whereas in Brotherhood, they seem to just go after and kill anyone also trying to make their own Philosopher's Stone.
You should consider yourselves lucky.
And I like the more manipulative aspects of the homunculi in the original.
Well, especially their origins, too, tie them even closer to the Philosopher's Stone. Besides just like in Brotherhood where they're made from them.
I promise it won't take long.
Yes, one of the things I love the most about the original compared to Brotherhood, I feel like this is a Brotherhood shitfest. I don't mean for it to be. Brotherhood is also amazing. I just feel like the original doesn't get enough love. I love that in the original, the homunculi are created by people attempting human transmutation. So it's like each alchemist has to deal with their own sin of what they've created.
What are you doing?
Rose, Father Cornello gave the word.
Like, it's weird. In the original, Bradley is not Wrath. Bradley is Pride. Wrath is Azumi's kid.
Right, that's right. God, it's been so long.
Wow.
Sloth is Ed and Al's mom, and that is really cool.
Who's there?
Wow, okay. I really do need to watch the original show again, because it's the reason I'm in loving this franchise in the first place, but it's been so long.
What the?
I mean, that's partially why I just jumped into Brotherhood now, was just to, like, give myself an outside perspective now that it's been so long that I'm not constantly thinking about how much better I liked things in the original show.
We made a mistake.
But still, I really would want to watch it again.
It still really holds up. It is amazing.
No, like this first episode, and in fact, the scene that the game is recreating less effectively right now is like one of the memories from media in general that will forever stay with me is this whole build up, the Chimera attacking Ed, ripping up some of his arm, the Cornello going, "Oh, a metal arm, interesting. What's going on there?" That's right. You're the one that crossed the line. You're the Fullmetal Alchemist, and Ed rips off the arm and shows it to Rose like, "Is this what you want? Here, look at it. This is what, this is what, hoping to bring the dead back gets you." And it's just like, it's such a powerful moment the way it's directed in the original show. And it also helps that the dub of both shows is excellent. While I will say, though, Zach, even though I did, while I was watching the subbed version of Brotherhood, I did try to go back to the dub sometimes just to hear the old cast again. And I think they still sounded good. I just was really getting into the subbed version, and I kind of stuck with that. I love the way Ed sounds in Japanese, because he does sound much more like just like a kid. Wait for them to get up again.
Yeah, you can do a sliding tackle to hit them while they're on the ground, but I swear they get invincibility right before I hit them every single time.
Yeah.
So
You can do simple combos. The game did tutorialize it a little bit. You have basic hand-to-hand combos. If you press triangle in the middle of a combo, Ed will use his oh my fucking god, how... I've watched 2 Fullmetal Alchemist animes. How did I forget the name of his prosthetics?
Automill.
Automill, yeah, sorry. I don't know how I forgot that. Yeah, he uses his Automail dagger if you press triangle in the middle of a combo. I find the Automail dagger to be the most effective combo. And then there's, if you press circle, he'll create the rock spike.
crying out loud. You see
Yeah,
all
it's
this,
similar in
you
the
still wanna believe in your
original
fake prophet.
game. The only difference is that this game makes things a little more immediate and streamlined, whereas in the original game you'd have to
Do you
charge
the
things
courage
up.
to see the truth?
So like in the original game, you would tap the button once, and Ed would bring up a wall of metal to block an attack. Or you would hold down the button, and that's how you would do the spike trap.
All right. There's gotta be a way to go farther into the temple. Let's look around.
Yeah, honestly, this game's combat is pretty simple. It's effective. It's a little weird. There is a like if you press the button at the right frame, you'll do extra damage. But I feel like combos don't happen unless you're constantly mashing the button. I try to perfectly time, and I feel like if I'm just a couple frames off, Ed will just not continue attacking. It doesn't feel like Devil May Cry, for example, where you could do a pause. It just feels like if I just mash square, I'll get this combo. But if I try to like do a bit more timing, oh well, of course I do it immediately.
Of course, recording curse goes both ways.
Yeah, it exists to make me look stupid.
But yeah, there's a common misconception that this game was made by Square Enix. No, it was not made by the same people that made Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy. It was published by Square, but this game was made by Rakjin, who is a small Japanese developer located in Osaka that primarily before Fullmetal Alchemist had just developed like tons of Bomberman games. Bomberman 64, Bomberman Land, Bomberman Kart, so many Bomberman games, and this was kind of their deluge into making something a little more, you know, their own feel, something more focused of making a true like action game. And I think, you know, for the low budget they had, I think they did a decent job capturing the show's alchemy and the mechanics and its gameplay while also capturing the personality of the show pretty well too. It's just, like Zach said, it's pretty simple. I can see why reviews were a little average at the time it came out. I still find both of these games pretty underrated. I appreciate that they even get the touch right, that anything that Ed transmutes usually has some sort of personal touch to it.
Yeah.
Like in Brotherhood, where they keep bringing up that everything he transmutes looks like it came out of like a heavy metal magazine.
I'm gonna see if I can show it off real quick. You can do a counterattack. If you guard at the right time, Ed will do an automatic counterattack that deals a pretty good amount of damage. You can also just block, and then if you move while hitting the block button, you'll do a dodge roll.
Right.
I would say the most fun thing about this game is, of course, the alchemy. I mean, I would hope so. It's called Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, I'm noticing here that you're not getting, it's been a long time since I've played Curse of the Crimson Elixir. Do you get, like, any, like, weapons you can equip?
Yes, that'll come later, and then you'll also get weapons you can just transmute at any time. Like, you see this symbol? It'll fill up with weapons that I can just create at any time. But there will also be moments where I could transmute an object here, and I can order Al to pick it up, or I can pick it up myself.
Okay, yes, that's actually funny enough what the tutorial in Broken Angel tells you to do first, before it shows you how to make, like, bombs and cannons and shit.
Now this is odd. Where'd all the henchmen go?
It is pretty crazy to see just everything being voice acted, where even in the bigger budget Square games, not every single line is voice acted.
Some sort of booby trap.
Like in Final Fantasy, actually in Final Fantasy X, they did actually have full voice acting for every NPC in the entire game, which was insane. Whereas in Kingdom Hearts, a lot of the outside of cutscenes stuff had no voice acting. Admittedly, part of what made me start thinking about Fullmetal Alchemist again was actually something negative, which was me looking into the history of Vic, the guy that voices the English version of Edward Elric, who, you know, does a spectacular job in both of these shows. But if you look up the man himself, he's not necessarily somebody that should be, you know, worshipped, which I hate that I have to use that turn of phrase, because his fan base has its own website that has a disclaimer that they are not a cult, which if something has a disclaimer that it's not a cult, I think you can infer your own opinion there. Vic is a whole can of worms. If you want to know all the details, look it up. But that was one of the other reasons I watched the show subbed, because Vic's voice was starting to get to me because of just knowing a lot of details about the SA history of the man himself. Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm guessing it probably doesn't feel any better on the actual PS2 controller either.
It actually does feel a little bit better on the actual PS2 controller, which I am using right now. I am using it right now.
Yep, definitely a real PS2.
Nintendo, please don't sue.
Yes, Nintendo, please don't sue us over emulating this PlayStation 2 game of an anime. Yeah, Zach, if you want to know what Bones have been up to recently, they've pretty much been put into the My Hero Academia mines.
Ed, the statues are
Those
moving.
poor souls.
Another one of the prophets.
I did watch the first couple of episodes of My Hero, and I thought it was alright. I just
Doesn't
didn't
look
feel
like
like
we can
continuing
take
it.
those through normal attacks.
When I first started, there was only 5 episodes. Now there is beyond 5
They're also on the
episodes.
slow side. We'll just have to use
Yeah,
that to
sure.
our advantage.
They're, of course, doing other stuff as well, but yes, that's kind of the vast majority of the franchise they've been dedicated to. Later this year, they're putting out My Hero Academia 8, which will be the final season, so there's that. But that's kind of the sticking point with me. That's the reason why I got so deep into Fullmetal Alchemist when I didn't get deep into, like, Bleach or One Piece or whatever. Because I like shows where there's a definitive and clear story that has a direction and an ending that takes less than 100 episodes.
More of them?
If we're talking about shows like Bleach and One Piece where the manga goes on forever, so the show goes on forever, I can't do that. I can't follow that. I'm not dedicating my life to something when I would rather just, you know, focus on things that are already done, that I know are good, that I can just go through.
And yeah, here's the alchemy weapons now. But yeah, I agree. I think the longest anime I ever saw was the original Inazuma 11 at 100 something, 120, I think.
Sure.
And that was my comfort show during a dark time when I was feeling really depressed. I don't think I could do another show above 100 episodes again. Although, I say this, I did watch both Fullmetal Alchemist and then immediately Brotherhood, which is a total of over 100, so maybe I could. Although I think that is a little bit of cheating. They are too... Hang on. Can I tell Al to equip something, or do I have to wait for the tutorial? Okay.
No, I mean, you're right, Zach. They are two different shows, so you get that bit of a refresh in the pacing, which is different from watching a show that just goes on forever.
Yeah, I tried watching One Piece during summer vacation, I think in between 11th and 12th grade. I couldn't do it. I got 40 episodes in, I think it was about 40. I got to a man with a bush who lived in a treasure chest, and I just couldn't take it anymore.
Hold it. What's that black thing?
I can imagine some people would say, oh, FMA 03 is like kind of slow and gets a little dull and has a little bit of filler. And then these people will say, oh, but I love One Piece. And I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Puddle.
Yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist 03 is 51 episodes. Brotherhood's like 64, but yeah, like still not that much in terms of anime expectations.
Now you've Got me
But
paranoid.
you know, if you've watched One Piece or all of Naruto and Shippuden, and then you go FMA03 is a little slow and has a little bit of filler, I will slap you. They'll say, I've seen people say, oh, the beginning of FMA is kind of filler. Not really. Like there's the Yoki episode at the beginning, and that kind of feels like filler at the time, but then you see it come back later on. Same with the One Village where they meet the fake Elrics. That could feel a little bit fillery, but it is all very important to the story. Yoki a little less so, but it still comes back.
Yeah, it's so funny in Brotherhood because they don't even really mention who this guy was or what he did besides like a one-off line, and then he becomes really important to some of the later parts of Brotherhood.
Yeah, he survives in Brotherhood. In the original, he dies. Because Lust tries to use him as tries to use his death as a scapegoat to get the military and the remaining Ishvalans to fight each other again.
Ah, I see.
There is a way to... No, I'm trying to remember. There is a way to let it go. I forgot what it was. Oh, that's right. There we go. Honestly, I could have seen a Wii game for Fullmetal Alchemist. Well, okay. Maybe not. How would you do the clap with a Wiimote and nunchuck? I don't want to slam them together on accident.
Yeah, that would probably be bad. Well, let's see here. Because, Zach, I think your question may have been answered. There was a third Fullmetal Alchemist game. That was on PS2. And then there was a Fullmetal Alchemist game called...
That wasn't that bad.
What was
But
it?
I wonder what they were.
Okay, yes. So I am wrong that never did come to Wii. But Zach, there is a Fullmetal Alchemist fighting game.
Could they have been a product of the philosophy?
It's Japanese only, but it did come out on PS2. It was the last PS2 Fullmetal Alchemist game.
Those inky black monsters. And I hate tasteless transmutations.
But tasteless transmutations are your forte, eh?
Well, we can clear that up when we meet Cornello. Let's hurry out.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
I can see what you mean about being a little out of character. I feel like Ed would have got mad at Al for saying that.
Oh, Al was thinking it, but to be fair, I think it's a little out of character for Al to have not said it. I don't think there's ever a moment where Al is not... I don't think there's a moment where Al is afraid to call out Ed on anything.
Right, yeah, people like shitting on Ed because they love just how much he overreacts to everything, while also at the same time not being that much of a threat. Because he is a good guy at heart.
Yeah, that does remind me. I think the one... To try to give some points to Brotherhood, I think the one thing Brotherhood does better than the original is the humor. I would say part 1, the humor is eh. But I'll say, starting with part 2 onward, I think there is some legitimately funny moments. I don't think the humor in the original is bad, but none of it made me laugh. It was all just, hey Ed, haha, you're short. And Brotherhood also does a lot of short jokes, but I can't really explain how, but I felt like the timing and the delivery of those was a little bit better than it was in the original. Although maybe that's just partially because Brotherhood is overall, while still pretty dark, it's overall a lighter anime. There's a lot less death and trauma.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. Like, it still has a lot of those crazy dark arcs that the original show had, because that's part of the manga. But the tone, especially, like, it feels jarring as an 03 fan going to Brotherhood, because the humor is a bit overwhelming and constant in a way the original show would never have. Whereas, you know, like, the original show definitely has its moments of characters going, like, full chibi and dancing around and stuff, but it's always, you know, that stuff has its place. It's at this part of the story, whereas with Brotherhood, it feels like it's fairly constant in almost every dialogue scene. Whereas in the original show, when things got serious, they got serious for a while. But yes, as Zach said, when you get into later episodes of Brotherhood, the humor does get a lot better.
Yeah, I will say there were some moments, and not too much, but there were a little bit of moments, at least in the English show, where it was like, that's a little MCU. Not to a obnoxious degree like a lot of writing gets nowadays. But like it was getting a little quippy near the end with them all doing the action scene. But I wouldn't, like I said, not to an obnoxious degree, but I was like, eh.
I thought you said you'd be good.
So the state alchemist sees through everything. Indeed. The legendary alchemic amplifier is in my hands.
We've been searching for ages. We'll keep quiet about your swindles if you hand over the stone, so...
That is utterly absurd! Those citizens are my faithful servants. Do you think they'll listen to you?
We're looking at overall. Yep, we're now at 50 minutes, Zach. If you want to stop here soon.
Now I'm starting to feel
I feel like we have to do the moment of Fullmetal Alchemist, which is coming up here, and then... Well, okay, technically the moment of Fullmetal Alchemist would be Nina, but I'm talking about, like, the reveal of the metal arm. We should at least do that.
Sure.
And that'll literally be after this cutscene.
Which is so funny that it's a reveal considering Ed with the big metal arm is, like, on every single, like, DVD cover and manga cover of every version of Fullmetal Alchemist.
What? Rose, where did you come? How?
Are you saying that you're not going to grant me my wishes through your miracles?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about how in the original show she hides inside of Al so that they can show her the truth, whereas in Brotherhood she's just kind of standing there when this all happens.
True, I am not a commissary of God, but with this stone I may have the power to revive your fallen love.
Rose, don't listen to him!
Rose, be a good girl and come to me. I am the only one who can make your wish come true. Remember Cain? Now come!
Something that I always felt a little weird about, too, with Brotherhood, Zach, and this is just like, you know, maybe it's not like the biggest thing or whatever, but I noticed that they whitened up Rose's skin a lot in Brotherhood, whereas she was fairly, like, you know, tanner, darker skinned in the original show, as well as the other people that live in Lorelei. And I wondered why that is. And the only thing that in my head that I can think of is that they don't want to, like, confuse the people of Lorelei as also being like Ishvalians. But I still think you can have people of different skin types in Fullmetal Alchemist without that being an issue.
Yeah, I had the same kind of thought. I thought it was weird that Rose was paler and whiter in Brotherhood, and I think it could have been because of what you said. But remember, it's not that Ishvalans are just darker. They also have red eyes.
Right, that too.
So that would have also differentiated them from the people of Lior.
Quite a powerful stone, as you should well know, boy. For instance, I can easily forge something like this.
A chimera.
Go get them, my beast! Rip them to pieces!
So yeah, this isn't the scene in the original show, is it, Zach? This is like they reanimated it for this game.
I'm pretty sure they did, but I don't want to say 100% for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was new. But I kind of remember the original going something like this as well.
I command you, stop playing with your food and tear off his arm!
What's the matter, you poor bastard? Can't get a good taste? Oh, Rose. Don't look away.
That's another thing that I will always remember Fullmetal Alchemist for, is just reaction shots of characters going, "Oh!"
I mean, that's just anime in general, to be honest.
I know it's an anime thing in general, but it's just such a constant thing in Brotherhood that I just kept laughing at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is completely reanimated, Zach. This is not how it looked in the original show. A lot of the angles are different.
Oh, okay.
It's an interesting change that they spent all that money to have Bones reanimate these exact scenes.
That is such a badass reveal, though.
Well,
Much better than in Brotherhood. Brotherhood's first episode, I don't really like.
Because it is setting up the reveal of the big circle that will become incredibly important to the final half of the show. But the problem is that the problem with the first episode of Brotherhood is that, especially for new people coming in, it just throws everybody at you all at once. The entire cast of the entire show all come in, and I get it's supposed to like throw you in to get you engaged, but I was more just off-put by it in comparison to the original show opening up with just Ed and Al.
The other side?
With his left leg gone, Ed transmuted my soul and bound it to this suit of armor, sacrificing his right arm.
The two of us try to revive one dead person. Look at us now.
Also, real quick, and this is just for Fullmetal Alchemist in general, I love the character designs of Ed and Al. I love the character designs of pretty much everyone, really, but for main characters, I love Ed's design in general. I love the automail. I love the red coat so much.
Yep.
If I could afford it, I would get the red coat.
Oh no. Zach's going full weeb.
Silence! Just shut your mouths! You are simply a sorry pair who stepped on the toes of God and were rejected!
Yeah, no, Al's armor is iconic. Like, those two designs are, for a reason, some of the most recognizable anime characters and anime character designs of all time. They just look cool. Like, that's kind of just the thing.
Yeah, like, I love Ed's red jacket, but I also do like when it's off and you just see the black tank top and the black pants.
Well, especially when they do the reveal at the end of the original, at the end of Brotherhood, where, like, what is it? He, like, transmutes himself a new red coat so that way he can wear it when they're on their way to the final battle.
Yeah.
Which is a cute touch.
Oh, I've been forgetting to level up.
No, Zach, you haven't spent your bonus points. Zach's just had Kingdom Key equipped all this time.
I'm pretty sure when I first played Kingdom Hearts for the first time, I think I did that for a couple of worlds, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I was very weird about RPGs when I was a kid. Because, like, I understood getting better equipment when I played the original Final Fantasies. But, and I knew, having high stat equal good, but I didn't really know what any of the stats did. Especially during Pokemon, I never understood the point of, why would I lower my opponent's attack when I just kill them? Of course, now that I'm older, I understand it better, but when I was a kid, I was just like, why buff or debuff? Just hit. Just hit very hard. I would also just try to give physical weapons to magical attackers and then wonder why nothing was working.
Yeah. Him and his parrot take off.
What? Where does he think he's going? You're not getting away from me!
Unfortunately, Ed, we are going to have to let him get away. It's about to be an hour.
Ed, hold on!
Yep.
Wait, please! I still can't believe what you said. How much you had to sacrifice to transmute a life.
The basis of alchemy is equivalent exchange. In order to gain something, you have to pay the equivalent price.
What if there's inflation, though?
Then, if that's the case, both of you have paid
Alchemy
a hefty
inflation.
price. You must
Don't
have
type
come
that in on Google.
Don't do it!
Our mom was so nice.
It used to just cost me an arm and a leg to attach my brother's soul to an armor.
Seriously, just one more time.
Now it costs all my limbs and one of my nose hairs.
Fucking alchemy tariffs.
But Zach, we should probably stop soon because Al's about to go into the whole charade again.
Didn't look
Yeah, I was hoping to get to a save. I don't know why I'm trying to get to a save point. I'm not going to be continuing this on an emulator. I'm going to continue this on the actual PS2. So, yeah, we should stop it here because I feel like this cutscene's going to go on forever.
Yeah, if it isn't obvious enough, Zach and I fucking love Fullmetal Alchemist and are happy to find that after going through both shows, they both are weirdly both exciting and frustrating where they have their own advantages and disadvantages.
That's why I can't pick a clear winner. I think it just depends on more what you're looking for. I think Brotherhood is more for the anime crowd. I think the original is more for... I feel like the original has a bit more broader appeal. I think even people that don't like anime could still check out Brotherhood. I've heard Brotherhood is a good gateway anime as well. But I kind of feel like, at least from my own perspective, I feel like the original I could more easily convince non-anime fans to watch.
Yeah, like I said, it's the show that really got me into anime, so I think that's a good signifier of it's a good gateway drug.
And I know we might have seemed a bit harsh on Brotherhood, but please understand, Brotherhood is still in my top 5 anime. The fact that this one manga spawned 2 amazing, incredible anime is absurd, especially for the original, because normally when you hear about anime branching off, it usually goes into a bad direction. But no, the original goes in a completely different direction, but still feels like Fullmetal Alchemist.
We've given up on bringing her back, but Ed's
You know, it uses that world to talk about similar themes, but is still enough of its own thing. It really is worth watching. Just you'll just have to find some way to watch it.
Yep, because they pretty much wiped it from the face of the earth. You're pretty much gonna have to find a website to watch it on by searching it, or you'll have to, locate like a DVD or Blu-ray set on eBay, which thankfully don't go for that expensive if you're trying to just watch the original show. But yeah, if you're looking for like an official streaming service to go watch Full Alchemist right now on, sorry, you're not going to find it. If you're looking for Brotherhood, you're going to be able to access Brotherhood super easily. It's on Netflix because they have, they also have the rights to the live action movies, which are, from what I hear, not that great. Maybe don't watch those. Maybe just watch the original show. But yeah, this show is lost to time, and it really shouldn't be because it's one of the most popular and successful animes of the 2000s for a reason. And while Brotherhood definitely is the more accurate adaptation of its manga, the original should in no way be slept on, especially in my opinion, whereas it does early arcs of the show better. Just watch both, but watch the original show first, please. And I guess that wraps it up, Zach.
Yeah, we should. I was thinking about adding another topic, but I'm like, it's been... No, we gotta end it now! Abort!
We have orders from Father Cornello. Not one person is allowed to pass beyond this...
Have a good night, and remember to use those beautiful legs. You got good legs, get up and use them. I forget how the quote goes.
Gotta put one foot in front of the other, Rose.